Hello. If you've opened this video, it means something is troubling you. Maybe you have money, but you're not at peace. Maybe you work a lot, but don't feel like you're moving forward. Or maybe you're just tired without fully knowing why. This video is not for motivation. There are no get-rich-quick fairy tales here. We are not selling you anything. We are trying to reclaim something, your own life. In this video, we will talk together about how debt changes human psychology, how fear is turned into money, how status and social pressure silently push you into debt, how your time is stolen, and whether it's even possible to stay free in the midst of all this. Who is this video for? For those who think, for those who are weary, for those who ask, can life really be lived like this? If you're looking not for answers but for honest questions, you're in the right place. Let's begin. The foreclosure of the mind, debt psychology, and the collapse of decision-making quality. Introduction: Invisible chains. The modern world sells us debt under the label of freedom, which is perhaps history's greatest paradox. The freedom to acquire something right now is, in reality, the mortgaging of your future time, the hours and years you will spend working to pay for it. However, the true cost of debt isn't the interest rate, it's the square footage it occupies in your mind. An indebted person doesn't just pay with money, they forfeit their focus, their creativity, and most importantly, their capacity to make sound decisions. Cognitive bandwidth and the scarcity mindset. The concept known in the scientific world as scarcity explains how debt physically alters our brains. The human brain has a limited processing capacity. The processor thief. Debt is like a heavy virus running constantly in the background of your mind. While you are trying to read a book or spend quality time with loved ones, your brain is subconsciously crunching numbers. How will I pay that $100 installment? Which account should I transfer money from? This background noise causes a temporary drop of 13 to 15 points in your IQ. In other words, when you are burdened by debt, you are biologically prone to making foolish decisions. Willpower bankruptcy and decision fatigue. Willpower is like a battery. It's full when you wake up, but depletes as you use it throughout the day. For an indebted person, every single moment is a struggle for financial survival. Constant defense mode. An indebted person must make dozens of micro decisions all day. Should I skip this $5 coffee? What happens if I postpone this utility bill? By evening, the decision-making battery is completely drained. This is where willpower bankruptcy occurs. A mind exhausted by thinking about debt lacks the strength to say no to an unnecessary online ad or a pushy salesperson. The great irony of debt is that it makes you most vulnerable to the impulsive spending habits that will sink you even deeper into debt. 2. The economics of fear, manipulation. People make poor decisions not because they lose money, but because they are afraid. We think we take out loans because we need them. In reality, we take out loans because we are afraid. We are afraid of falling behind. We are afraid that our children will be worse off than others. We are afraid of being seen as insufficient by society. This fear is not accidental. It is an economic mechanism. How is fear converted into money? Advertising doesn't sell you a product. Advertising shows you a threat. If you don't buy now, it will be too late. This opportunity won't come again. Everyone is already using this. You are not buying the product. You are buying relief from fear. When the bank gives you a loan, it says, "Don't worry, we are here for you." But it doesn't tell you that tomorrow you will hand over a part of your freedom. Why is fear so powerful? Because the human brain is designed to react to danger, not to think freely. When you are afraid, you don't calculate, you don't compare, you start rushing. The system knows this. That's why they don't give you time. They want a quick decision. Because if they gave you time, they would see you wake up. The most dangerous fear, falling behind. People go into debt not because of hunger, but because they fear being left behind. We finance weddings with debt. We buy cars with debt. We upgrade phones with debt. Because we are deeply afraid of one thing. What will others say? This fear enslaves you, but silently. A person driven by fear is not free. A decision made in fear is not your decision, not your life. You are simply flowing with the system's current. Freedom is not the abundance of money. Freedom is the absence of fear. The question that changes the game. Every time you are about to spend money, ask yourself, do I truly want this, or am I buying it because I am afraid of something? This question is simple, but it is dangerous for the system, because where there is no fear, manipulation does not work. In the next section, we will talk about the status game and social pressure. Why do we work for the lives of others? 3. The status game and social pressure. People are not afraid of being poor. They are afraid of looking inferior. Because in this system, value is measured not by who a person is, but by what they display. Your salary may be low, but if your phone is expensive, there's no problem. The real tragedy is that you don't even realize you are playing this game. What is the status game? The status game is mortgaging your own life to appear valuable in the eyes of others. The rules of this game are silent. Hold an expensive wedding, buy a car on credit, change your phone every year, show on social media that you're living well. No one forces you, they just watch, and you force yourself. Social media, a stage or a prison? Social media is not life, it is a shop window. There, people curate their happiness, hide their debts, and cut out their exhaustion. And you compare your life to that shop window, and you lose. Because you are playing with reality and they are playing with editing. The phrase, "What will others say?" This phrase is not just a thought, it is a control mechanism. With this phrase, a person does work they don't want to do, buys things they don't need, gets into debt, and stays silent. A person who says, "What will others say?" cannot be free, because their life depends on the gaze of others. Things bought for status. Things bought for status do not protect you, do not free you, do not empower you. They do only one thing: keep you busy. A busy person does not ask questions. A person who doesn't ask questions doesn't see the game. The greatest lie. You have been told, one day you too will live this life, but they didn't tell you that you will pay for this life with your own life, with your sleep at night, your peace of mind, your freedom. Where is the way out of the game? The status game is not a game you can win. It is only a game you leave. You are not here to impress others. You are here to live comfortably with yourself. Peace is not a status. Simplicity is not backwardness. Freedom is not a luxury. The final question. Ask yourself, am I doing this for myself or so that others will see? A person who asks this question is no longer inside the game. In the next section, we will discuss modern slavery. Why do we think we are free when we are not? Shattering the modern mindset, from consumerism to inner freedom. Modern confinement is not enforced with physical chains or whips as in ancient times. Today's limitations are more subtle, more invisible, and therefore more powerful. They permeate our desires, needs, and social expectations, defining us from within. The modern individual is one who carries their own constraint, the credit card, and goes to a job that lacks meaning each day to maintain a living space filled with unnecessary things. This manifesto is written to transcend those limitations and restore mental sovereignty. 1. Recognizing the illusion, the myth of purchased happiness. The system promises that happiness lies in the next purchase, the next model, or a more luxurious space. But this is a mirage. Each new item you buy provides a momentary sense of satisfaction, but immediately afterward creates a greater void and the need to work more to pay for it. The first step is this: accept that happiness has no direct correlation with consumption. On the contrary, excessive consumption is often the biggest obstacle standing in the way of inner peace. 2. The sanctity of time. Do not trade your life cheaply. The primary currency of modern constraints is not paper money, but your time. A debt you must pay each month is in reality work hours measured in time stolen from your life. These hours could have been free moments spent with your children, on self-improvement, or simply appreciating the beauty of nature. Frugality here is not stinginess, it is an act of reclaiming your time. Every unit you save is a moment of freedom earned for your future. 3. The power of saying enough. The system is built on perpetual growth and more. Advertisements whisper that you are still lacking something. The only way out of this cycle is to be able to say enough. The moment you realize that what you have, your health, and a simple lifestyle are sufficient for you, the power of external influences over you diminishes. This is the essence of minimalism. Fewer things, less responsibility, less anxiety, and ultimately, maximum internal freedom. When you feel no compulsion to prove anything to anyone, true liberation begins. 4. Debt. Transcending modern burdens. Debt is a powerful mechanism of influence in modern society. An indebted person tends to act more cautiously. They endure injustices at work because they have financial obligations. An indebted person cannot take significant risks, fearing the loss of financial security. The practical foundation for exiting this cycle is debt freedom. Eliminating debt is not merely a financial matter, it is a step toward mental liberation. A debt-free person can stand more firmly as their choices are guided by internal desires, not external compulsions. 5. The return to creativity. From passive consumer to active creator. The modern individual is often transformed into a passive consumer, living amid ready-made meals, ready-made entertainment, and ready-made ideas. But constant consumption can create dependency. To transcend limitations, it is essential to become a creator again. Cooking your own meals, crafting something, writing, or engaging in any art form liberates you from external supply chains. A person feels their own power and becomes free through creation. 6. Social awakening. Living as your true self. The fear of what others will think can subject us to the control of social expectations. The person who emerges from the cycle of modern pressure abandons the games of social status. They are not ashamed of driving an old car, dressing simply, or not having expensive hobbies. Their true wealth lies in the security fund in their bank account and the comfort in their mind. Conclusion: the first step to freedom. Reading this manifesto is seeing your constraints. Implementing it is transcending them. The journey out of modern consumerism does not happen in a day. It is a continuous voyage. Each unnecessary item you decline, each debt you pay off, and each time you say, "I don't need this," brings you one step closer to inner freedom. Remember, the ultimate goal is not merely to accumulate money, but to restore your freedom of choice and mental independence. From today onward, measure your wealth not only in numbers, but by the sense of comfort and freedom you have gained. True prosperity is that precious space and time where you can determine the direction of your own life. Digital dependency, the exploitation of attention and mental confinement. The most dangerous and silent stage of modern servitude is digital dependency. If debt and excessive consumption bind us with material difficulties, digital dependency directly targets our attention, willpower, and mental system. This is the process through which our mental energy and every moment of our time are commercialized by opaque algorithms via those small screens we carry in our pockets. Introduction: the true cost of free services. In the modern world, every digital service presented as free actually comes at a high price. If you are not directly paying for a product, the product is likely your attention and data. Digital dependency is the systematic exploitation of a person's most precious resource, their attention, by technology platforms. 1. The dopamine economy, invisible payments. Social media applications are built on psychological principles similar to those used in slot machines. Every like, every notification, and every infinite scroll delivers small doses of dopamine to the brain, creating involuntary behavioral cycles. Modern dependency describes individuals who have surrendered their will to their devices, filling every idle moment by looking at a screen. 2. Algorithmic control, the threat to intellectual independence. Digital dependency is not merely a waste of time, it is also a form of mental influence. Algorithms track and analyze your interests, fears, and emotional reactions. They place you in echo chambers that provide only confirming information, narrowing your worldview. As a result, the ability to encounter different perspectives and think deeply about complex issues weakens, turning a person into an information consumer who merely reiterates existing beliefs. 3. Attention fragmentation, the decline of deep thought. The skill of deep work has become one of the most valuable assets in the modern world. Digital dependency erodes this skill. Constant notifications and relentless information flow fill the brain's short-term memory, leading to superficial, scattered thinking. We can no longer fully immerse ourselves in a book chapter because our brains have been conditioned to expect continuous new stimuli. A person who cannot manage their attention also struggles to steer the course of their own life. 4. Digital surveillance, the erosion of personal space. Similar to the historical panopticon model, digital platforms today represent a mechanism of constant observation. We voluntarily submit our actions, preferences, and locations to these systems. This data is then used to predict our behavior, influence our decisions, and serve marketing purposes. In this process, the boundaries of personal life and privacy become increasingly blurred. 5. The way out. Digital minimalism. Escaping digital dependency is not about completely rejecting technology, but about establishing a conscious and purposeful relationship with it. Digital minimalism is the principle of technology serving you, not you serving technology. Turning off notifications, the first step to regaining complete control over your attention. Purposeful use. Using technology actively as a tool, not as a passive pastime device. Creating analog hours, designating specific parts of the day or certain zones in the home as completely technology-free. Configuring tools, limiting social media permissions, using focus modes, and keeping the phone out of the bedroom. Conclusion: reclaiming attention, taking back your life. Freeing oneself from the influence of digital dependency is one of the most crucial steps of personal development in the modern world. A person who reclaims their attention from devices restores their mental space, creativity, and genuine connections with those around them. Remember, independence is not just about deciding what you want to do, but also about the ability to choose what to ignore. When you free your attention from external stimuli, you will rediscover the peace of your inner world and the potential you can create within it. True wealth lies not in the alluring glow of screens, but in that precious space you preserve for deep thought, creation, and living. Six, the theft of time. Money can be lost. Money can be earned back, but time never returns. Despite this, people think the cheapest thing they spend is time. The most expensive currency. We think we work for money. In reality, we are selling our time. And often, we don't know how much we sold. We don't know who we sold it to. We don't know why we sold it. The system doesn't want your money. It wants your life. Theft when silent. Time is not taken by force. It is slowly taken away. A little by unnecessary meetings, meaningless work, pointless notifications, endless scrolling. You don't even notice because everything seems normal. The most dangerous theft is the one you don't see. The "I'm busy" lie. We say, "I'm busy," but often we are not busy, we are distracted. Time is filled, but meaning is absent. Days pass, but progress is missing. This situation doesn't bring a person fatigue, it brings emptiness. Time loss under the name of work. Not all work earns you time. Some jobs don't help you grow, don't improve your skills, don't bring you closer to freedom. They just keep you in place. You are working, but your life is not moving forward. The digital trap. Your phone is not your enemy, but it's important to know where your time is going. One notification breaks one thought. One video takes 1 hour. 1 hour changes one day, and this turns into years. A free person protects their time. A person who protects their time doesn't attend every invitation, doesn't respond to every message, doesn't accept every task. This is not egoism. This is respect for your own life. The question that changes the game. Every time you feel exhausted, ask, where did my time go today and what did I gain? If there is no answer, that time is lost. Final words. Money can be found later. Status can change. Opportunities come and go. But time is given only once. No one promised they would give it back to you. In the next section, frugality and minimalism, the armor. How do we protect our freedom? Rehabilitating frugality, transitioning from consumption slavery to financial independence. Introduction. What frugality is not. The modern advertising world presents frugality as a boring, deprivation-filled, and lackluster way of life. In their eyes, a frugal person is a miserly individual who cannot enjoy life, constantly counting every penny or dollar. But this is a significant manipulation. In reality, frugality is the art of making room for meaningful things by sacrificing the meaningless. It is not about settling for less, but about rejecting unnecessary details to protect your most valuable asset, your freedom. Number 1. Strategic choice, the battle between now and forever. Being frugal is essentially the prefrontal cortex, or logic, asserting its dominance over the amygdala, or emotions. When you see a $100 pair of shoes in a store and choose not to buy them, you are not just saving $100, you are strengthening your self-trust and your ability to manage impulsive feelings. The true cost factor. The frugal brain, when looking at price tags, sees not numbers but hours of work. Asking the question, if these shoes cost $200 and I earn $20 per hour, am I willing to trade 10 hours of my life for them, is the foundation of frugality. This perspective measures an item's value not by its price, but by your life energy. Number 2, the Diderot effect and breaking the chain of consumption. The greatest psychological barrier to frugality is the Diderot effect. When you buy something new, like a new phone, everything else you own starts to seem old. The new phone demands a new case, the new case demands new headphones, and those demand a new lifestyle. Frugality is about breaking this chain. Accepting that what you have is good enough is a mental revolution. Because frugality begins not with the money in your pocket, but with the ability to say enough is enough. Number 3, the financial defense line, the emergency fund. This is the most humane and powerful aspect of frugality. It gives you room to maneuver. Every $1,000 you set aside increases your chance to stand up to your boss, your toxic environment, or the circumstances that make you unhappy. Psychological comfort. A frugal person does not lose their decision-making quality even if they were to lose their job tomorrow, because they are not acting out of the fear of going hungry. For a person in debt, the inability to save is a prison. For a frugal person, the accumulated funds are the key to escaping that prison. Number 4, the dopamine trap of consumption. Why do we spend? Because buying something new creates an instant burst of dopamine in the brain. But this joy lasts only a few hours or days. The frugal person seeks dopamine not in acquiring, but in owning and in security. The dopamine generated from watching your bank account grow is longer lasting and less stressful than the dopamine from buying an item. Number 5, freedom from social masks. Many of us spend money to impress others, to display ourselves to people we don't even like, using money we don't enjoy earning. Frugality is about leaving this social theater behind. Appearing wealthy versus being wealthy. A frugal person lives not to appear wealthy, but to be wealthy. Driving an old car while having $50,000 in the bank is a greater luxury than driving the latest model while worrying about bank interest every month. This is the triumph of inner peace over material display. Conclusion: the financialization of freedom. Frugality is not about cutting your sustenance, but transferring it to the future. Every dollar saved is a minute of freedom you purchase for tomorrow. A frugal person decides for themselves to whom and how they will sell their time. Remember, even if you have the world's highest income, if you lack the skill of frugality, you will remain trapped on a hamster wheel forever chasing more. True wealth is not about how much you earn, but how much you keep for yourself and how much freedom that money affords you.
The architecture of a free future. The revival of family, willpower, and financial consciousness, a logical continuation of the previous manifesto. Modern society largely evaluates the family as an economic unit of consumption. The system attempts to convince parents that their love for their child is measured by the amount of material expenditure. However, true parenthood carries a deeper responsibility: to create a spiritual sanctuary that protects the child from the dependency traps of the modern world: debt, digital manipulation, and materialism. The most valuable foundation you can lay for your child is not the numbers in a bank account, but their ability to consciously manage their own choices. This is the most crucial intergenerational continuation of the personal journey to freedom that began in the Shattering the Modern Mindset Manifesto. 1. The silent power of example, the parent's mirror. For children, parents are the first and most influential life model. They absorb not so much the words, but the true values behind behaviors. If a parent alleviates discomfort through shopping, the source of comfort for the child becomes associated with consumption. To raise a free-thinking generation, a parent must first transcend the pressures and dependencies in their own life. The child must see the parent say no to a meaningless desire and stand firm by their own values in the face of social expectations. A parent's financially responsible, debt-free, and conscious lifestyle is the first and most powerful example of the true freedom the child will attain in the future. 2. The triangle of value, price, and labor, restoring the connection. One of the greatest shortcomings of modern upbringing is that while it teaches children the price of things, it fails to explain their true value, that is, the life energy expended to acquire them. A child sees a toy's price tag but does not grasp the parent's working hours that stand behind it. To instill this understanding, children must be given financial responsibility from an early age. A child who manages their own small savings jar and learns patience to achieve a desire grows up not as a future impulsive consumer, but as an individual who thinks strategically and prioritizes values. 3. The sanctity of no, the school of willpower. Many parents interpret saying no to their child as a lack of love. However, a child whose every wish is instantly gratified does not develop self-regulation or the concept of delayed gratification. The strongest shield against the traps of the modern consumer society is precisely this ability to postpone desires. In a minimalist family environment, no is presented not as a punishment, but a path leading to a more valuable choice. The child must learn that inner comfort and imagination are more precious than the latest toy. The cognitive world of a child who can build broad and creative games with few possessions is richer than that of a child lost amidst an excess of toys. 4. The experience investment, shifting from possession to presence. A fundamental shift is required in how resources are utilized within the family, prioritizing being together and living over having. The most valuable moments your child will remember years later will not be the most expensive gift you bought, but the quality time spent together, the dreams shared, and the quiet mornings discovered together in nature. Material possessions weigh a person down, while spiritual experiences and memories set them free. Create an environment of values for your child where the questions, "What can you do?" and "Who do you want to be?" are more important than "What do you have?" 2. The digital legacy, the independence of attention. One of the most dangerous forms of dependency is hidden in the digital environment. If a child's attention is governed by social media algorithms, their will to sit at the helm of their own life weakens. The principle of digital minimalism should be applied within the family. A parent constantly looking at a screen while communicating with their child sends the message, "You are less important to me than this device." Teaching your child to use technology not as a tool for aimless pastime, but as a means for knowledge and creativity is teaching them to protect their most precious resource, their attention and time. Conclusion: the intergenerational gift of freedom. Adopting a minimalist mindset and financial consciousness within the family is not aimed at preparing the child for poverty. On the contrary, it prepares them for a life philosophy where true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in inner freedom. A person with few needs, who does not measure their worth by possessions and values their time, cannot be easily manipulated or enslaved by debt. When you teach your child to be content with less, to avoid debt, and that time is more valuable than money, you gift them the greatest fortune immeasurable by any inheritance, the freedom to be the investor of their own life. The dependency cycles created by the system will be shattered precisely in such homes that can say enough is enough and consciously choose their values.
The foundation of free generations: family, minimalism, and financial consciousness. Liberating oneself from modern servitude and embracing a frugal minimalist life philosophy transforms from a merely personal choice into a freedom manifesto for future generations the moment it permeates the family unit. The greatest legacy we can leave our children is not the numbers in a bank account, but the skills we instill in them: financial literacy, critical thinking, and resistance to consumer pressure. Introduction: the family, the first line of defense to be fortified. The family, while being the smallest unit of society, is also the primary fortress targeted by consumer culture. Advertisements, social media, and the fear of "what will others say" infiltrate directly into our homes.
Against this system that constantly peddles the lie that you will be happier if you own more, a minimalist and frugal environment cultivated within the family lays the groundwork for a child to become not a future debt slave, but a free individual. Number 1. The power of example, the influence of silent upbringing. Children imitate not what you say, but what you do. If a parent turns to shopping when stressed, buys every new product on credit, and measures worth by possessions, the child will also view the world through this lens. Minimalist family upbringing begins with parents regulating their own consumption habits. When a child sees a parent ask, "Do we really need this?" before a purchase, or stand firm by saying, "This doesn't fit our budget," they are receiving one of life's most valuable lessons, self-mastery and setting priorities. Number 2, value and price never the same thing. The most crucial distinction to teach children is the difference between an item's price, the number on the tag, and its value, the real meaning and benefit it adds to our lives. We must explain to our child that a toy is not just bought for $1, but in exchange for the hours of a parent's work. This establishes the effort-result connection in the child and develops their sense of respect for the items in their life. In an environment where material things are easily acquired and easily discarded, a child learns to value nothing. Minimalist upbringing teaches a child to own fewer things, but to connect deeply with them and care for them. Number 3, the value of saying no is another expression of love. Modern parents often shy away from saying no to their children, interpreting it as deprivation. However, a child whose every wish is instantly gratified risks becoming an adult who cannot manage impulses, develops dopamine dependency, and makes irresponsible purchases. Saying no teaches a child to wait, to be patient, and to work step by step towards a goal. This strengthens the child's willpower. In a minimalist family, the child learns that happiness lies not in a new toy, but in quality time with family, connection with nature, and creative activity. Number 4, the experience investment, a legacy more valuable than things. Redirecting the family budget's focus is at the heart of upbringing. Instead of a new electronic gadget or branded clothing, a family camping trip, a museum visit, a course to learn a new skill, or volunteer activity leaves deeper and more formative impressions on a child's memory. Objects become obsolete and are forgotten, but experiences shared with the family shape a person's character and values. Creating an environment for our child that emphasizes what experiences they have had and who they are, rather than what they own, protects them from the material status race of the modern world. Number 5, financial literacy, building a freedom fund from a young age. Completely sheltering children from money matters can lead to financial mistakes and debt traps in their future. They must be taught, in an age-appropriate manner, to save, accumulate money, plan, and share. A child having their own gold jar or a small account teaches them the meaning of effort, patience, and planning to achieve something. This habit will become the strongest defense mechanism protecting them from credit card traps, useless debts, and advertising manipulations when they grow up. Conclusion: individuals who are the architects of their own future. A minimalist and frugal family environment bestows upon a child the world's greatest wealth, purposefulness, and inner sufficiency. A young person with few needs, who measures their worth not by possessions and invests their time in spiritual rather than material wealth, will not be forced to work a job they dislike merely to pay off debt in the future. When choosing their life path, they will look not at the numbers in bank accounts, but at their own dreams, skills, and values. The exit from the modern cycle of dependency truly begins in our child's room, in family conversations, and in our daily choices. We must teach our children to achieve much with little, that time is more valuable than money, and that true freedom lies in being free from the compulsion to own. This is the noblest and most enduring contribution a family can make to its child, and ultimately to society as a whole.
My friends, if you've made it this far, it means you're already sensing the invisible constraints that surround us.
Thus far, we've discussed how debt takes our minds captive, how consumption steals our precious time, the ways to raise a free-thinking generation within the family, and how the digital realm exploits our attention. Now, it's time to bring all these pieces together and ask the most important question: what is the purpose of all this? We don't practice frugality just to see a bigger number in our bank account. We don't choose minimalism merely to make our space look more elegant. Our quest is deeper. We are trying to strip off the passive consumer garment that the modern world has forced upon us and become true human beings once again. Because the modern system tells you your worth is equal to what you own. We, however, assert the opposite. Your freedom is measured by what you can refuse. True wealth is waking up tomorrow owing no one any financial debt. True luxury is having the financial security to say no to a job you dislike or an environment you don't respect. True happiness is looking into your child's eyes and feeling that you can leave them not an object, but a strong character, a deep system of values, and an unshakable will as your legacy. Remember, freedom is not a destination to be reached, but a choice made daily. This choice is reaffirmed every day. When you choose not to buy that unnecessary product, when you look up at the world instead of obeying that notification, when you make a plan to pay off the first part of that debt, you are in fact transcending your limitations and building your freedom. The modern system wants your attention, your time, and ultimately your will. It tries to turn you into a compliant and easily manageable consumer. But you have one advantage. You now see the rules of the game, and a person who sees the rules can no longer be controlled by the old methods. This is not an end. This is the first day when the spiritual foreclosure on your mind is lifted and your soul begins to breathe deeply again. Welcome to this first day of freedom. Now, go forth and become the sovereign architect of your own life, because protecting your own will and your time is the greatest personal victory. And know this, you are not alone on this journey. If these thoughts have sparked a small flame in your mind and helped you discern the invisible constraints around you, you can continue following this channel to keep this conversation about freedom alive. This message reaching more people might just be the beginning of a transformation in someone's life. What will be your first concrete step towards a more independent life? Which of the constraints that feel heaviest will you begin to overcome? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss together. May your mind be clear and your path be illuminated. Until we meet again.